Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Dwayne Samuels on the line. He's the CEO over at Samelogic. Dwayne, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to talk, we got a couple of things to talk about today. We're going to talk about product agility, agile experimentation, user feedback. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into what you're doing over at Samelogic. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
No problem. So Samelogic is a company that helps product teams perform agile feedback experiments in their SaaS products, SaaS being software as a service. Pretty much product managers or product teams have a very hard time getting feedback from their customer base, and they've spent a lot of time setting up these experiments. And we make it possible for product teams to set up experiments very, very quickly, within seconds, rather than actually weeks.
Wow, that's big. And I guess the big selling point on your end is a low-code product feedback solution. So the point being is that they don't have to take away from their normal time and try and develop these things because you already have it taken care of for them.
Exactly. And the surprising thing is that for product managers, actually, a very small amount of product managers actually are coders. Some have understanding of code, but they don't like coding on the job because it covers so many different things that you have to do as a product manager. So we take the coding aspect out of it and make it possible for you to run experiments on your DOM elements within your SaaS products.
I know you work with SaaS companies, but are there any type of niches or certain types of companies you work with that you've kind of developed that are your software works better for than others? If any, by the way, there may not be.
Yeah, so companies that are in the e-commerce space and companies that also provide any sort of like data management that have like high traffic of people coming through that can actually present the experiments to a subsection or to the entire group of people. So it kind of varies, but for the most part, you need to have like a lot of people coming through that platform and software through the website itself for us to gather the feedback from the subset or the entire populace of the people coming through.
Could you define like what high traffic sounds like? Because for some people that means different things. Because I'm like, I know I'm not high traffic. You know, on my little baby site, I'm like, hey, you got a couple thousand new visitors. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you define that for us, please?
No problem. So it all depends on like the goals you actually have set for the for your experiment itself. So for example, a small example or an example could be you changed the color of a button on your platform or your website, and you actually want to see how that affects the click-through rates, and also you want to get some qualitative and quantitative data about people clicking on the website and how it affects people in that regard. So the way it works, you attach the experiment. It's like imagine a very small survey that when someone clicks on a button or hovers over a button, a small pop-up appears over that DOM element, and you can either extract qualitative, quantitative, or both pieces of information. And then you can export that information into any platform you actually use to model or massage the data to give you better insights into how your changes are affecting users' habits.
Man, that's smart. And that's so smart. What kind of feedback have you received on this from? Like, can you give us some like examples? You don't have to give any company names, but like just some what's happening, because there's some people listening to this right now that are thinking, "Wow, that sounds really cool," but they're thinking maybe it's a luxury item and they don't understand what some of this testing can do for them.
Yeah. So far we've had PMs from Google, Pinterest, a bunch of different companies. We've had over 500 different PMs from various companies using the platform itself. So it can vary from, it could be like a small product team that are running experiments. But we tend, the best way for you to actually get the full use out of the product itself is having, I would say, probably 10 to 100 people performing, taking part in the experiments based on the metrics you actually have set up. So it all depends on what your goals are for your product teams and how you actually are moving forward to accomplish those goals.
Let's talk a little bit more about the importance of user feedback here. So we've touched on what agile experimentation means. Let's talk a little bit more about what user feedback means in this case.
So in order to build any platform, any solution, it could be an app or a website, the only way it can actually be built successfully is by interacting with your user base. And I think companies are currently understanding
emphasis on successfully, right, Dwayne?
Yeah,
big emphasis. However, you have to do it unsuccessfully. Go ahead, please. I had to throw that in there.
Exactly. So pretty much companies, especially in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, they're hiring more and more product managers to take over that aspect of interacting with the customer, taking both qualitative and quantitative information and doing a little bit of massaging, performing some data science calculations and all that on the information to see how user feedback affects usage and how you can actually improve the product overall. So it is more like changing your habits from being more reactive to being proactive. So having proper user feedback is very important to building a successful product.
That was good. Oh man, too much. So Dwayne, that being said, if somebody's listening to this, and two-part question. The first part you did answer partly, but I just want you to go maybe a little bit further. So first part is, what types of companies are best fit typically? So you mentioned e-commerce. Let us know if there's any others. And then second part is, what's the best way for them to reach out and to learn more about Samelogic? Yeah,
so primarily for software as a service products and also e-commerce. So like SaaS, it's a very, very wide umbrella, but usually you have people clicking through many different things to actually get what they want, right? So so yeah, and the way to find out more about us is by visiting our website at samelogic.com, and all our social is Samelogic. Apart from our Twitter, it's Samelogic AI on Twitter. And yeah, you can find out more information about us that way.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Dwayne, been great having you on the show today, and appreciate the conversation. Tell us more what you're doing over at Samelogic. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes Store. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to hear what kind of projects and things you're working on. Let's not let the conversation end here. Let's carry it over onto the YouTube community. And Dwayne, thanks again for coming on the show.